precedent. And every president has demanded and desired that the press praise him and not criticize him. This is not a new phenomenon. What's new is the personal way that President Trump does it. He doesn't argue that it's a national security issue, even that it's a patriotic issue. He argues that women shouldn't question him. He calls them names. He tells them to shut up. That level of personal intimidation is totally without precedent, and maybe the ugliest thing about this current crackdown is that he's acting like a despotic, authoritarian, military leader who tolerates no pushback. And while that's reflective of the traditional relationship between the presidents and the press, the job of the press is to push back and to look closely and to question.
You know what ABC is? I think it's maybe the most corrupt news organizations on the planet. I think they're terrible. I don't want anyone from ABC.
Some in this crew, in the press, just can't stop. Allow me to make a few suggestions. People look up at the TV and they see banners, they see headlines. I used to be in that business, and I know that everything is written intentionally. For example, a banner or a headline, Mideast war intensifies, splashing on the screen the last couple of days, alongside visuals of civilian or energy targets that Iran has hit, because that's what they do. What should the banner read instead? How about Iran increasingly desperate? Because they are. They know it, and so do you, if it can be admitted. Or more fake news from CNN. Reports that the Trump administration underestimated the Iran war's impact on the Strait of Hormuz. Patently ridiculous, of course. For decades, Iran has threatened shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. This is always what they do, hold the strait hostage. CNN doesn't think we thought of that. It's a fundamentally unserious report. The sooner David Ellison takes over that network, the better. Another example of a fake headline that I saw yesterday, war widening. Here's a real headline for you for an actual patriotic press. How about Iran shrinking, going underground? You see, Iran's leaders are hiding in bunkers and moving into civilian areas. The only thing that is widening is our advantage. Not to mention our Gulf partners stepping up even more, now going on the offense, and have always been with us on the defense with collective and integrated air defenses.
While they haven't been able to quiet that many media outlets, as you pointed out, they've quieted some. They've had an impact on the Washington Post. They've had an impact on MSNBC, although it's recreated itself. They've had an impact on CBS. But it's interesting that their moves are happening concurrently with the declining influence of major news outlets as people turn to alternative outlets of choice in the most narrow of narrowcasting modes to get their information. So I can't even imagine what the recovery is from that kind of shattered cohesiveness that we used to get by choosing only among 3 6:30 p.m. newscasts for our information. And they were roughly the same. It was a matter of personality choice rather than the slanting of the news.
You're going to find out what did he know with respect to Bill Clinton, with respect to the head of Harvard, with respect to all of those people that he knew, including J.P. Morgan Chase.
Sir,
Yeah, Jennifer, go ahead.
Incriminating in the file, sir.
Quiet.
What one can say, however, is there's a pattern to his discourse across time that would suggest that whatever the intention, he places the people who critique him in a position in which he communicates about their communication, about their qualification, instead of engaging the content that they are offering him. In the case of a reporter, the question that's being offered. So his rhetorical tendency, confronting someone who is disagreeing with him or trying to hold them accountable, is to undercut their credibility, to assert that it is inappropriate for them to be asking the question, and that The very agency that they represent, in the case of a reporter, is illegitimate. They are fake news, according to Donald Trump, as is the organization that they represent. And that is regardless of the quality of the question or the legitimacy of the content. It is simply a dismissive tactic. He uses it with men and women. He uses it recurrently. It is a pattern with Donald Trump.
Is Iran placing new mines?
We've heard them talk about it, just like you've reported recklessly and wildly about it. But we have no clear evidence. We have no clear evidence of that.
Well, we don't know yet what the new CNN, if there is going to be a new CNN, will look like. There's already been so much pushback against the credibility of the new CBS that I just sense that it's reached its high water mark, and maybe the intimidation will be less successful.
《播报新闻是我的日常，必须时刻保持妆容和皮肤的最佳状态。当来到人生中最重要的时刻，也是 KS 逆时奇迹帮助我轻松驾驭，闪闪发光。KS 逆时奇迹活肤露全效精华、精华霜，多达5种 EGF 6大冻龄关键成分，保湿效果让我非常满意，小细纹也不再困扰我。我就是我自己的最佳女主角。KS 让我从容自信，光彩动人。我是我人生中的大女主，我的最爱我做主。KS 逆时奇迹系列热卖中，下单请上快点购，透过中天新闻网 App 下单立减50，或输入 CTI 推荐码有额外折扣。